Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is getting closer to the later half of July of 2024, and already we have seen what has gone wrong with the Acolyte series. We know that episode 8 / the finale failed on so many levels, so many various levels, to the point where they had to shoehorn characters like Darth, Plagueis in there, and Yoda. And by the way, I mentioned this more than 3 times, but throwing Yoda in there in the finale of the Acolyte makes everything all worse. We know that this makes Yoda seem like either a very incompetent Jedi or just a very dumb Jedi, or that he was in on the cover-up that, of course, was all orchestrated by Vernestra, by the way. We all saw what happened in the grand finale there. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. So, there's been a lot of things brewing behind the scenes between the Walt Disney Company and Lucasfilm. There is a constant and severe shakeup happening right now based on what has gone wrong with the Acolyte. A $180 million plus failure. Now, that's roughly $22.54 million per episode, right around there roughly, I'm saying, and it's believed to be higher than 180 million at this point. That's why I say roughly. So marketing expenses and all other expenses, you're inching closer toward $200 million invested in the Acolyte failure. Now, going to the Walt Disney Company, there is a lot of, stuff going on right now. There's a lot of things going on by Bob Iger, by the board of directors, in a way to stabilize the growing, intense backlash from fans. And this is where things begin to get out of hand about the whole firing situation for the Acolyte and Lucasfilm. Now, with the Acolyte finale already a massive failure for Lucasfilm and unable to reverse the backlash through, of course, last-minute special cameos, one major development now has more to do with the Acolyte firings over at Lucasfilm and just how severe it recently got in a new crucial update. With the massive criticism over the Acolyte, the Disney heads recently held one of their last emergency meetings over the current status of Lucasfilm and a desperate move to enhance cutbacks. It was recently finalized by Disney CEO Bob Iger and the majority of the board that not only was the marketing team for the Acolyte fired and let go from Lucasfilm, but also now many of those that worked on sets of the series, along with many of the minor cast members that were initially promised more roles down the road for Lucasfilm / Star Wars, are now also getting laid off in the process as a result of the Acolyte failure. This is said to be a combination of just how bad the Acolyte ratings really were, with viewership decline along with Bob Iger's cost containment plan officially wreaking havoc at Lucasfilm and angering Kathleen Kennedy in the process, mind you. Not only that, but other artists are also getting laid off at Lucasfilm that worked on the Acolyte. These types of artists are said to span different departments, particularly, of course, CGI artists that are getting to be removed from Lucasfilm in the coming weeks for a cost-cutting measure applied by Bob Iger in the wake of the Acolyte failure. Now, already Kathleen Kennedy and those part of the Lucasfilm story group are beginning to raise hell at the Walt Disney Company in a desperate move to prevent this from happening. However, this has worked to no avail, and Bob Iger made it clear to Kennedy and Disney, the Disney board of directors specifically, that is now, of course, moving in full motion. This is described to be the largest firing of Lucasfilm employees in the coming weeks by Bob Iger to use certain individuals as a scapegoat. The main one, of course, being the marketing team. Already Bob Iger is putting full blame on the marketing team behind the scenes of the Acolyte over its failure to the audience, to address shareholders and the general public eventually. Already Iger has agreed to make a very important statement about the viewership decline of the Acolyte by the middle of August, once more Nielsen ratings drop a couple of weeks from now, that will use the marketing team as a scapegoat. Now guys, let me just stop right here. Now, we got the first Nielsen ratings report just a couple of days ago about the Acolyte, 75% viewership decline, and prior to that, the media was literally lying about the viewership ratings of the Acolyte. And when the Nielsen ratings dropped, that really kind of gave you the truth of what was really going on with the Acolyte series. Now, we know a lot of people bailed on their Disney Plus subscriptions for the Acolyte. Whatever ones do, of course, remain when it comes to how people viewed the Acolyte. A lot of people, have it built into their phone contract or their cable contract or something around those lines. A lot of people, believe it or not, and this is something I always like to bring up, a lot of people don't even know that they have Disney Plus. There's a lot of subscriptions out there that really kind of get, you know, thrown in there in a real shady way by Disney to get people to have that subscription built into their overall bill. But I digress. Moving on to other things related to Lucasfilm here. There's a lot of things going on with the employees. We know that they want to drastically drop the number of employees over there now from 2,000 plus to within the higher, you know, 1,000 plus range. We're talking maybe 1,500 around those lines. They are doing massive cutbacks also from Marvel Studios and Pixar. Regardless of what happened with Inside Out 2, it did not save them in the long run. Alright, we know that they're still going to go ahead with firing hundreds of employees over at Pixar because they still want to double down on their DEI agenda. They're very stubborn over at Disney. You have a major success, why not just make more successful projects moving onwards? Boggles your mind, doesn't it? But moving on here, this is where things get worse. Now, this is also something that was planned by the Disney Board of Directors as a form of damage control and refusing to admit failure in a creative sense on their part by using the marketing team as a scapegoat. In addition to all of that, Bob Iger is also preparing to lay off other Lucasfilm employees in other departments. However, those specific departments are currently unknown at this time. However, massive cutbacks on cameramen and other important and vital roles within the crew are also going to be cut back as a result of the Acolyte's performance, as now Bob Iger is doubling down to make upcoming Star Wars shows even more small scale that will cost less. Some board members, though the minority of them, are also calling for Kennedy to not renew her contract later this year, while other board members, the majority, are calling for her to stay and stick it out until 2027. So, look, I've talked about this many times. From what I've actually been able to offer you guys, Kathleen Kennedy does want to renew her contract. She wants to stay. She wants to stay at Lucasfilm until 2027. The main reasoning behind that is that she wants her legacy to be that she made a rebound with Star Wars movies. Whether it's the Mando movie, the Rey movie, the Jedi Prime film that takes place 25,000 years before The Phantom Menace, she wants those 3 movies out before she leaves Lucasfilm. And with all the delays and the setbacks, I just don't see these movies at least happening all together. Maybe 1 or 2 will come out of all the 3, but I don't see all 3 of these movies coming out, or at the very least, arriving on their promised dates. So overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this, because this is a vital part of the Walt Disney Company in 2024. Not only did they fail terribly in 23 with various divisions, but for Lucasfilm, this was a major loss. $180 million plus. It's really $200 million if you really want to put in all of the different statistics there. We can go over that all day, but it's really around 200 mil, all on the Acolyte that looked like a cheap disaster that really did not meet viewership expectations. So I would like to hear what everyone has to say about this below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.